All right, scholars, writers, this is something that's very, very important. Every single writer knows this. Introductions are so important. The first thing you want to do, besides having a very effective title that makes people want to read your essay, not call it my college application essay, don't call it my essay, don't call it my Penn essay, that's who's going to read that? All right, you want to immediately catch the reader's attention. There's so much going on that reading is tough. Reading is very tough. I cannot read with lots of distractions. I need peace, I need quiet, I need to be fairly awake, and I need to be interested in the material. If I'm not interested in what I'm reading, I'm going to turn on Louis C.K. I'm going to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm going to go with my tomatoes. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm not going to read if I'm not interested. And to make me interested, the reader has to do a lot of work. Number one, they have to understand their audience. Your audience, they're reading thousands of essays. These admissions directors just reading essays. And if you write the first sentence and it grabs their attention, it says, whoa, I'm not bored for once. This sounds good, all right? There are lots of ways to do it, and I'll show you different ways to write a hook. There's no right way, but there's a lot of wrong ways to do it, all right? It gives the reader a clue as to the subject, tone, and approach of the story. Very, very important. Again, it's only 650 words or so. It makes the reader want to read it. It lures them into reading. Picture this. You find an essay. It's on the street. You're busy. You see the piece of paper. You pick up the piece of paper. Do you throw it in the trash? No. You look at it. The title, the headline, grabs your attention. It's like, well, this is interesting. And the first sentence is like, whoa, what is this? Then you start reading. That's an example of a hook. And if it makes you say, oh, this is boring, then you have to say, okay, I have to work harder as a writer to get that attention, right? You do this on a job interview. You dress, you make sure you have your everything straight, your tie's neat, your shoes are buffed and cleaned, and everything's tucked in, your belt, and everything is good. And you just want a good impression, right? You want to make a good opening impression, right? And it's sometimes the lead or the hook that's the last thing to write, ironically enough. If I'm writing a story, I might open with something just to have it there, and then I write, and then I realize what's at the end of my story, I pull up in the beginning, and it might be a flashback. But there's all these different ways as writers you can work with narrative and organization. It does not necessarily have to be linear. That's the easiest way, perhaps, the chronological A, B, C, D order. But if you know these great movies like Pulp Fiction or what's that one, Inception or whatever it is, you play with narrative all different types of ways, right? You can start and then go back a couple years and then move forward. That takes some sophistication, it takes some transitions, but it can be done, all right? But realize that hook might be the last thing you put on the paper, because you write it and then you realize once you've written the thing, what you need to open it and start off. And let's look at some examples, shall we? Let's see if this works. Oh boy, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? All right, I'll be right back. Okay, that was embarrassing. Anyway, I'm back. Hopefully I'll edit that. Sample hooks. These are sample hooks from professional essays that I use in a book called Models for Writers. Models for Writers. Jack McFarlane couldn't have come into my life at a better time. We don't know who Jack McFarlane is. We don't know why he was so important, but it gives us perhaps a reason to want to know why it was so important. Because we all have people like this who come into our lives, who influence our lives. It was a mild December night. I mean, that's I forget what essay that's from, but it's almost like it was a dark and stormy night. A very cliche way to write, but it works for this essay. Right? It's not my essay, it's a professional writer. What is intelligence anyway? This is from Isaac Asimov, and he starts with a rhetorical question. There's nothing wrong with starting with a rhetorical question. The problem is, too many kids use the rhetorical question, and it's like, what is love? What does love mean to you? That's a very ineffective way. I do not want to read that essay. right? But if you can come up with a good question that I've never heard before, that makes me want to go into reading an essay about the nature of intelligence, like Isaac Asimov does in his very short essay, that's good. I was coming up the little bridge in the Rio Vista neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, deepening my stride and breathing to negotiate the slight incline without altering my pace. And then, as I neared the crest, I saw the kid. All right, this is a very good type of sentence. I'll talk to you about sentence structure in another instructional video. But here, we keep the subject and the verb at the end, and it's the kid that's important. And this kid was fishing in Florida off a bridge, and the kid was blind. A blind kid was fishing, and this guy was just jogging, and he comes across this kid. And it makes for a really good essay about, it's just, we don't expect that. We don't expect a blind kid fishing by himself on a bridge in Florida. And what this runner, learned from this kid. In English, my name means hope. I think this is Sandra Cisneros, and it's an essay about her name and what her name means to her symbolically in Espanol. And she talks about, it's a very good essay. It's very, very short. It's an essay that many teachers give their students to model and to say what their name means. My name means gray skies. My name means my Italian mother's gravy. All those nice sorts of things. And the fastest way to end the party is to have someone die in the middle of it. This is about an essay where he's in college, and there people are doing some shrooms and, you know, chilling and doing some drugs, and then someone dies. And they're all like freaked out, but some of these kids at this party later still do drugs. And the author was like, why? What is this? So it's a very good essay. It's a very sad essay about the nature of addiction and how we don't learn from experience. Some people don't learn from experience. This one author did. But perhaps we'll read that essay later this year. Take care. I'll see you in the next frame.